different from perhaps the most traditional conservative methods of teaching. And part of the thing that is surprising is what they can actually achieve when a teacher steps away from the process and only perhaps nudges them along slightly or redirects them, but doesn't give that instructional content knowledge that's required. They are required to find that themselves. And as a result, they've learned a lot more. Student-centred learning's been around for a long time with cooperative learning, but we don't tend to give them real-world issues. And I think that's what is important in this particular experience, is that they have a real-world problem that's very relative to them in their location, that needs to be solved and that will affect their lives in the future. So that context is something that has brought about the powerful learning that's happened today.
It's very different from regular schoolwork. You actually get to make decisions. You don't get the answers handed to you. You've got to think about it. You've got to, understand the question. Schoolwork is more just kind of, you sit there and you copy down what the teacher's told you. Whereas this is kind of, you got to come up with your own solutions and work as a team, deadlines to meet, stuff like that. The challenge was a lot more difficult than I had expected it to be. And it was a lot more real and something that affects me directly. I'm from Western Sydney, so the challenge was something that will affect me in the near future. I didn't understand how real it would actually be. They said it would be something that was an industry challenge, but I didn't realise it was going to be something that hadn't been solved yet and there was no right or wrong answers.
The most surprising thing I've had is simply standing back and watching the magic occur with the kids. Really, them sorting through a very complex real-world problems with the existing skills and values that they have and coming up with perhaps things that we wouldn't ordinarily think of. And it sort of places a little bit of trust and faith in these young people for the capabilities that they do have. And they can bring almost a new perspective to things that others maybe wouldn't. I've felt for so long, education's almost been reactive to business and industry needs and wants. And something like the Business Innovation Challenge is sort of business industries and education coming together almost and being proactive about the needs of both industry and education and sort of developing that together. And I think that's really the value in what it's sort of showing of where education could possibly head into the future.
It challenge us to think in a different way that we usually would think of while you're doing projects like at school or anything like that. It gets you to work with people you've never met before, whereas at school you have been with these people for a long period of time. But working with different people, it gives you a different perspective and a different mindset as well, because they all have different ideas and you all incorporate your ideas together into making one big project.
At school it's more like a student-teacher relationship, so an educator and a learner, but here it's more of equals. So the people who are running it and the leaders are kind of speaking to us as though we are adults and we are doing this for real. So it's kind of it's a change in the way that people are teaching us, I guess, learning. It's a different way of learning.
I talked to a couple of groups and I'm actually impressed about the ideas and how they developed according to the brief that I got. I'm happy that they're not just approaching it from a technology point of view, but they're looking at different layers from policy, community behavior, and how we would incentivize the community to do this. And they're thinking about different aspects such as jobs, what council think, can we maintain it or not. So I'm very impressed that at 15, they're just 15 years old and they're thinking about all of this. I was very impressed how systematic and organized they are, so I could see them as policy makers or working in a government agency changing things. They were really organized, they thought outside the box.
Well, day-to-day schooling, just standard maths, English, science. This is something really exciting where you can, think outside the box. You're not following the textbook, you're not just writing notes.
They need these skills, the ability to communicate, the ability to think, the ability to learn autonomously, to deal with complexity and ambiguity, to be able to get inside the head of a client and understand what they're thinking even when the client themselves doesn't understand that. So the BIC is going after all of those things in one intensive experience, and I think that's quite hard to package up. The teachers are the ones I think have the biggest aha moment, because over time they build up a lot of assumptions about what they think kids are capable of. But here, we don't allow them to rescue the kids when they're trying to solve the problem.
It's been interesting to see Education 3.0 throughout the activities that the kids are doing today. They're so ingrained in doing, the usual cut and paste, curriculum-based activities that they do at school. So to see them sort of out of their shell has been really interesting.
It shows what can be done if you remove all of the rules and strictures around what education should be.